Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Vanquisher League. I'm Halfling, joined by Golden Gad. We've got a series between Dorado Gaming and XSV. That's the only time I'm getting it right this time. Sloth, how's it going?
Going well. We are now into week 4, I believe, or week 3. Let me think. 1, 2, 3. Pretty sure 3. These teams have just started to settle in now, so you're kind of expecting a little bit more synergy, a little less of the just win lane, win game type strategies, but, there's still more time to grow in this season. Both of these teams are 1-1 currently in the standings, but they are in different groups. So this is one of those cross-group weeks where you'll be fighting it out against other teams in different groups throughout it. So you'll see Dorado is in that group A, sitting at 1-1 with a 2-3 game score. And then we do have XSV Sloth sitting at 1-1 with a 2-2 game score. So far either they've gotten swept or they've swept. Whereas Dorado, it's been a little bit more in between. And we're talking historically, Dorado should be favored here. All things considered, since, some of the roster I've seen before and they have performed well historically and their ranks are generally higher right now as far as solo queue is concerned. So I would, maybe give them a little bit of an edge. If anyone saw the predictive piece from the Titan Esports team from this week, they also predicted 2-1. So we'll see how that actually pans out. Of course, draft plays such a big part in these games every single time. So I don't know. I'm just excited to get into it.
I'm excited to get into it as well as the draft's getting underway. But we got a couple seconds while they get through their first round of bans. You mentioned a specific player to keep your eyes on being Phoenix Flare, just as someone who really is kind of, when you're the nicest way I can put this is when you're hiking out, you're as fast as the slowest member, and when your jungler has struggles like they had last week, you mentioned a score line that stood out to you. It's going to be a hard time, so we're going to have to keep our eyes on this player to see what they can get done.
We'll see. Also, I think as far as the other team's concerned, they do have Kush and Demo, who I do recognize from the last season as well, who did do pretty well on their previous roster as well. So, whether or not the chips kind of come into alignment for them does matter a lot here, but we are getting through all the bans here. Akali and Orianna both getting banned away here, so some strong mid laners as well as the Hen, which, I was a hater of this champion last week if you guys were watching, but turns out he's really broken in the jungle, so everyone is playing him in jungle right now, and it could be flexed to top lane. So that is something that, will be shown the respect it deserves and get banned away. I'm surprised to see a Nocturne ban after banning Orianna from the side of XSV. Sloth is just a little bit unorthodox to see those both get banned out in that particular order. We are going to see an Mbessa lock-in immediately, which does kind of call into question something that could counter it, like a Renekton, for instance, which we have seen a lot in the last couple weeks. Wukong's going to be a nice snap take immediately, which does raise stuff like, oh, you kind of don't want to play Xin Zhao into Wukong. That's never really been something you want to do. So that kind of pushes you over to different jungle champs. But just remember, Mbessa can be flexed.
This is going to be a big flex that you want to play around with throughout this draft here for Dorado. And something I do, okay, never mind. I was going to say maybe you kind of want to pick up something that can match the aggression that typically Yanaras have, but you're going Aphelios. I need to see something that can keep it alive, because if you pick any sort of semi-aggressive support with Yanara, you can just abuse that. You have to worry about red-white, of course, but who doesn't at this point? I think even Draven has to respect red-white from Aphelios. So good to see kind of what's going to happen in the second round, because no support's coming through. It's just both the mid laners.
Yeah, this is a pretty scary draft. I would really like to see a Bard ban on the side of Dorado. You are very susceptible with a Talia Aphelios right now, and Bard's another thing that could give Yunara some escape tools as well out of some of these more tricky scenarios. But we are going to see Janna immediately, so a little bit of a lane bully there taken off the table. So I expect them to go with another one, maybe potentially a Karma as well that you could pair with the Aphelios. We are seeing here Braum get banned as well, so one of those safety picks that you would have thought of. There are some other stuff Aphelios always likes to play with, stuff like Thresh, stuff like Tom Kench. We are going to see the Renekton ban, so that's kind of hinting at maybe potentially Mbessa's going top lane here, especially since XSV Sloth does have the counter pick in the top lane if they so be it. We are going to see Volibear, which now kind of locks you in. You're playing Volibear top, you've left your support pick for final pick, you want to win that bot lane.
You want to win that bot lane, and a Janna ban there tells me it's going to be some sort of engage support. I'm thinking Leona, or just in general, you have that engage comp. You don't want to have to deal with that just super easy a monsoon counter, the NATO counter in the lane as well. And that's going to force this, or not necessarily force, but they're going to go with this Jax, lock in, and Thresh. Aphelios Thresh still reliable as always. I've personally kind of seen a little bit of kind of a downtrend in Thresh's overall power over the last couple of years more than anything else, but as long as you're hitting enough hooks, you've got that oh, that's a mispick, but as long as you've got those hooks, as long as you've got a good lantern here, you'll find pretty good utility.
Yeah, and you know that's always been something that's a very good lane pairing, so I'm not too surprised to see it here. Probably the Braum ban was probably a misclick here on our end, so we will be seeing Braum Yunara, which makes a lot of sense, especially into that Thresh, especially into that Aphelios. It's a great pick there. So pretty interesting. I will say the Jax matchup into Volibear. Volibear is going to have a really hard time. It is not going to be easy to get through this Jax, so I'm curious whether they'll just leave it on an island and hope Volibear somehow comes ahead, but because since I think even Wukong, it's going to be hard to actually pin down this Jax and really take that kill, since Counter-Strike is such an effective tool at getting out of a lot of the damage from Volibear. So that's going to have to be probably the lane to watch, since they can really build a big lead there. And then in the mid lane, Syndra Talia. I think Syndra's pretty good in this spot. You have the nice pick potential, and Mbessa, especially Mbessa jungle, very susceptible to getting blown up. And I mean, no good. You know, this is one of the strongest kind of mid jungles as far as actually hitting. Once you hit that level 6, you can immediately blow up anyone you want. So Mbessa's really going to have to wait for that level, probably that 2-item spike if I had to guess, to try and outplay at that point. So they do have a bit of a window to play around in that fashion.
If you do want to do anything earlier here as Dorado with that Mbessa, you have to get it ahead. You have to make some sort of a play with that Talia, find a good shove, unlock Thresh at some point, but then that leaves you open and susceptible to gank, not even ganks, just dying in the 1v2 or in a 1v1 bot side. But I do kind of worry with Sloth's comp here, just because you've got your consistent DPS in the Yunara, but everything else is very burst and kind of set up oriented. Braum stops fights and can kind of start them. You have Unleash Power from Syndra, but then she does kind of run out of juice in the fight. So once Cyclone is burned by Wukong, you have damage, but it's a little hard to kind of make anything happen. And with that being the case, though, we're going to pop into this game. I'm kind of need to see exactly what is going to happen, because this is a lot of mostly results oriented in terms of how we can predict this game to go, because I feel like these drafts are pretty solid.
Yeah, the only thing that's guaranteed is Volibear is going to have a rough time in this one. I will say Braum is also kind of off the back of a bit of a nerf as far as his actual lane pressure. His Q damage did go down in this previous patch, so you can expect the laning phase to be a little bit more rough for the Yunara Braum than typical. Thresh is always one of those higher damage supports due to the on-hit passive of the Flay. So expect a bit of poke to come through, and it's just about whether Braum can hit that level, just about level 4-ish, without getting poked out too much once Che rotates away from the red and the green to start this game.
Yeah, see, those rotations are going to be very important, as you mentioned. But other than that, it's clear speed. Still, forever and always will be clear speed. But I think they're going to be matching up throughout the rest of this game. You mentioned this, Volibear is going to have a hard time. I feel like that starts around level 2, level 3 more than anything else, but Raptor is doing a great job so far.
Yeah, just getting the push immediately, trying to get level 2, so the Jax kind of is on the back foot immediately starting off. But Jax is always one of those champs, starts slow, and then as soon as one kill kind of goes his way, suddenly the table feels like it's flipped completely over. So it'll be up to how Z actually does it there. As far as actual, the jungle is concerned, Mbessa obviously an extremely fast clear. There was that one video of Faker doing the clear in like 2 minutes and whatever. I think 2 minutes 55 or something, and it went super viral. So here we go, level 3 first. This is actually a huge chunk onto Rapcore. A little bit unfortunate there.
Keep it up. Gonna find that. Nice
through.
Burn by Z, and you, as you mentioned, just can't contest that at all. It's a first blood here for Z.
Yeah, that was, as soon as the Ignite's committed on that first W,
Inevitable.
it's just too much, yeah. So it just gets taken down, and also has a nice amount of caster minions here to just shove the wave in, ensure that you get a free recall here, despite the TPing being committed as well. So very well played here for Z, puts him in a really good spot to go forward. And this is just kind of how the lane was expected to go, but, you know, having the bleeding start so early is definitely not going to be something that Sloth was looking for in this one.
No, you don't want it to happen that early. It almost looks like a script that you were talking about, just willing it into existence there with just how bad the matchup is going to be. A little bit of a light is Rapker picked up most of that XP there, and that's a good scatter from Demo. Forces the flash here from Tough Daddy as Sailor is in mid lane. I think they even picked... Did they pick up that first crab? I feel like Mbessa's got it where she's resetting.
I'm not entirely sure. I did see a little bit of contact there, but no, it will be Mbessa. I guess the scuttle was on that bot side to just kind of make the Wukong have to go straight through mid. But, you know, because of that, Tough Daddy had to burn the rest of the mana pool, so actually a pretty good job on that gank nonetheless. So still getting a lot of value despite losing out on that first crab that potentially could have been stolen, but, you know, Mbessa clear speed a little bit faster than the Wukong, as Dagrammer just missing out on that hook there, so gonna give up a little bit of space on that wave.
Just giving a little bit of space. They want to try and force any sort of bad situation, but honestly, you created it yourself with that reset. You're gonna offset yourself a little too rough as the Thresh, but I don't think Kosh and Hannah are gonna be able to take advantage of that just because of wanting to match the resets. I do like that call in the inventory here for Che though. And as you mentioned, continuing to be the case here, Z is just a smacking Raptor across the head.
Yeah, you could just go back in. No W on top of Z.
Lord.
So it's just too rough because Volibear really depends on that W for the laning prowess of this champion. So not actually having access to it easily is definitely something a little bit more rough for them. Wukong is now on the top side trying to bait.
Oh no, that's the force flash with the follow. Z just keeps up the pressure, and Sailor at the back trying to find something, and your consolation prize is some minions and 50 damage.
Yeah, it's looking rough here. The Sheen completed means these short trades are just going to be very deadly for the Jax, because guess what? Volibear can't auto the counter-striking Jax. And the snowball is definitely rolling now. Already about 1,000, just under 1,000 gold up for this Jax. We'll be able to collect some of that back on this full wave. But, man, this is getting out of control. And they're going to also claim the dragon on the bot side due to taking their reset a little bit earlier than the bot lane of XSV here. So Rapcore's going to try and freeze here, but it's very hard to freeze with Volibear passive. So it's definitely going to have to just be a bit of a stacked wave and then full push in and hope you actually make it there before Z can freeze it back.
And in the chaos of what's going on top side, Dorado still picks up that Cloud Dragon first here. So already getting this dragon stacking underway. You want to 100% do that when you have this value. So you have a very reliable front to back comp. Kind of coming up, not necessarily super heavy on the front line, but you can create space through CC. And especially can create space if you have some good Weaver's Walls from Tough Daddy, but so far Demo's been keeping up the pressure really, really well in this mid lane and kind of been a little bit of the light spot here for Sloth. Sailor trying to be active, but just not able to find success. No one is giving any angle.
Yeah, this is, I think this is going to be a pretty hard farming game, but this is exactly what Mbessa wants. Mbessa wants a game where it's slower, and just being able to grab the Drake earlier on is a very big boon here. Sailor
is invisible pop lesurprise show for Tough Daddy as Demo's gonna pick up the kill. Sailor on the map first.
There's that strength of that 2v2 there. At least we do get a replay here. Sailor just in a really awkward spot for Tough Daddy here. Does get spotted on the ward, so a little bit surprising, but did fake the pathing back towards the jungle. So actually a pretty good sneaky play there from Sailor to actually find Tough Daddy on that play. But, you know, all commendations to force the mid laner here of XSV. Just a nice setup stun to lock down the kill.
Oh, it makes it so easy here when you have a mid laner like Demo who's able to just find all these scatters. Consistently been able to do that throughout this match now, and I guess it's continuing to be that little bit of a light spot here for Sloth, but still looking at top lane, the farm has honestly been commendable here from Raptor, or more along the line of Z, I guess, missing more farm, looking for damage over that, trying to kind of force more issues. So maybe if you're Sloth here, you kind of have like Raptor as a, hey, you're farming pretty well, you can maybe kind of farm your way out of this, but I don't know if that's super possible because they're moving up here with Dat Grammar. They're trying to force this issue here on Grubs.
Yeah, they want to get as many advantages on these objectives as early as possible. Phoenix Flare does have the perfect execution. Or
Holding
the other one.
onto it, the other one indeed, and that's it. Public execution picked off at a good hook, followed up Sailor. Nothing left after the gank. Burn the flash, no Cyclone. Can't get it done, and the Grub's gonna spawn. No jungler here. It's Dorado Gaming staying on top.
Yeah, a perfect public execution. How about that? No Akali in this game, luckily for us, so we don't have to deal with the double, but, you know, I'm still a little frazzled from last week when we had both in one game. Now, that does give Rapcore a bit of time here to just shove the wave, but if this gets frozen, it is pretty disastrous, but it looks like Z's going to make it sure that it does stay there, and, you know, with the Grubs getting taken now, it's very scary to walk up and try and contest that wave, so honestly, top lane conditions looking a little rough here. Just going to try and cancel some backs here. Phoenix Flare is in the area. Only has the Brutalizer.
This is just cyberbullying at this point. The Brutalizer puts in a lot of work. Raptor's going to find the stun, but he's trying to walk and try to buy time here for Demo to make their way over to the play, but still no jungler in the area. Sailor has to restart their full clear, and that's a Crab picked up just with some good rotations from Dorado.
Yeah, nice of Demo to actually clear out, but, you know, did a good job chunking Tough Daddy, just forcing that back. So actually able to save the top laner of XSV Sloth there, but man, it is looking rough right now. Only 400 gold does separate these two teams, but the objective count is definitely kind of the invisible factor here. So they're definitely going to need to play around that. But the mid lane CS is really building at this point. 95 to 65, that's 30 CS at just 9 minutes into this game. It's a rough game for Tough Daddy, and it's going to get rougher.
It's getting rougher, but the shove keeps him alive for a little bit longer. Cyclo 2 and the Unleash Power. More than enough damage still in the tank as they continue to ring that bell for mid lane.
Yeah, they decided this is their win con. You know, they're leaving the Volibear to his own devices, which definitely advisable at this point. We'll be able to just grab up that farm. And this lead is only getting wider in the mid lane, and you know, you want your Taliyah to be pretty strong just to guarantee that there is some follow-up to Phoenix Flare's engaged, since Jax most likely will be splitting for a lot of this game. So I'm a little bit concerned for their damage, especially since Aphelios isn't really off the ground just yet. We'll see how that ends up actually panning out, because, you know, Aphelios could just farm for 30 minutes, and hey, guess what? He's still 6 items. It doesn't matter. They will be able to claim up another Drake here, so another objective piling up here for Dorado.
And we kind of like talked about it for a second. Didn't have the time to, but Phoenix has been playing really well this game, honestly, on the Ambessa. They're keeping up the clear here. Sailor a little more active on the map, but I feel like you mentioned that's the nature of these champions. You want the gold, you want a full farm here on this Ambessa, and Sailor trying to abuse that as best they can. And so these jugglers have been kind of being the antithesis of each other and playing super well at this moment. And Sailor recognize they have this chance, but not recognizing that they're on this ward here. The trap is set. When is it going to spring? There it is. Z on map. Going to find that counter strike. Going to follow over there. No leap strike to follow. So Sailor able to get away with murder and a Grom.
Yeah, nice communication there from Demo to notice something was up there. I'm surprised to just not see the Weaver's Wall committed immediately to try and take down Sailor, since there was no flash on the Monkey King, but, you know, just a little bit unfortunate. I think they really wanted that play, and they probably should have been able to get it as long as they committed that resource, but they weren't confident enough, and Sailor skates away. But they do defend the Grump. Little caveat on there.
Oh, didn't even get it. Interesting. I do think the longer we go on here without having any sort of side lane Weaver's Wall from Tough Daddy, the harder it's going to get for Dorado, just because Demo's running away with this lane now. 40 farm, 2 kills, delivered on a silver platter, but 2 kills nonetheless. And they're going to pick up that quest now, so has that some of those extra stats from those boots, and it's just going to get harder to deal with this Syndra.
Yeah, we have a finished... Okay, I was going to joke that the Ambessa just has a Cyclo Sword in inventory and nothing else, but ended up picking up a Control Ward and boots as well, so pretty much at a really accelerated rate, but the Wukong not too far behind at all, just has that finished Trinity Force, and we're going again.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, but was able to dodge away from the Scatter of the Weak, but I mentioned that Unleashed Power just does so much damage.
Yeah, I mean, upgraded boots already completed for Syndra, as well as that finished Luden's Echo. It's just so much damage to try and get over. Z gonna take some nice poke here. I feel like for the first time ever, Rapcore just won a trade against Z. So pretty good looks there. You know, are gonna be recalling here. Has to be a bit careful with that purple on line here for Che, but you know, nothing Braum can't fix in this one. But the CS lead now, almost nearing 50 CS for demo here. Oh, it is exactly 50, and that another wave denied. So this is a masterclass right now we're seeing in this Syndra. Oh my god, the gold lead is 2K. Oh, yeah. That is nasty.
Yeah, that is nasty. Sloth have a proper lane to play around here. As Dusk and Dawn is finished up here for Rapcore, though. That's the counter-strike eating up the stun. Sailor showing up, doesn't have the Cyclone, trying to follow around. The Smite gonna slow with Z, has the Leap Strike to get out of the play. And I just realized that is the demo that I got to see yesterday. This is even better than yesterday, and they were already really good. So Sloth have like a proper lane to play around here. Hold up! That's under the tower. Rapcore found a solo kill. Phoenix Flare is in the area. Sailor showing back up public execution. Gonna be able to land there. Finds the stun, but doesn't have the damage. Phoenix Flare can't continue. Nevermind's able to get it. Picking up the kill. Going 1-for-1. Tough Daddy showing up. Demo in tow. No more fights, though. Just the top laners being the victims. And back to the bot lane. Side lanes are getting active here. That's a hook on Kush, though. Able to get away from the play. And now here's the red-white. You know what that time is, as Che can't quite keep it up. A Glacial Fissure makes sure you can't do any damage. Kush putting out the damage. And the good guy, Braum, making sure it stays. And the Arc picks up the double kill for Kush.
Yeah, Kush doing a great job there, but honestly a little bit questionable there from Che. Just committing the entirety of the red Q into Braum shield was definitely not what he was looking for there, as yeah, it just goes completely sour and then flashes in as the exhaust gets dropped onto him. So Che just getting taken out immediately. So this play just starts up by them thinking, okay, I think we have a play here if we can actually land a hook onto Kush. But I mean, as soon as this lands and the exhaust drops onto the Aphelios, as he flashes in, it's just tragic. Gets immediately stunned up. Nothing too much more to do. And, you know, Kush with the empowered abilities, able to take down this one.
Huge ups. I didn't realize how much that unbreakable block there. But back to live Z. Back to being ganked here. It's Hannah showing up with that teleport, interestingly enough. And so is Rapcore. They're just going to get away trying to maybe
TP2.
Looking to make a play here on these bushes, but Dragon's up in 17.
Well, they spotted Sailor in the pit here. Just be a bit careful with the Thresh in the area, but does get over the wall. It's just not going to have to be too much of a concern. Actually, stars crossing in the night. Sailor walks away from Z and Phoenix Flare. Now, Tough Daddy has to flash over the wall. No other option available to him. And now it's kind of a weird spot on the Dragon. Dak Grabber has to like really find a nice hook here to just start us off. Kush now clearing the mid wave, so they do have some prio here. Should have a nice ability to go for a fight. Cyclone is up.
Sailor's super happy to take this 50-50. Wukong's really good at that, though. The Scatter's going to find the stun. They're focusing down this Jack. Z takes so much damage. Public Execution is going to miss. Z has to get Lantern out. 1900 on the Baron. Or not Baron, that's a Dragon. It's muscled away, looking for the fight. Chase able to put in the work here. Hannah has to kind of barely get away. And Kush going on a killing spree, picking up another kill on accident. There's 2 falling here for Dorado Gaming, and a steal in the night for Sloth.
Yeah, very well played there from Sloth. I mean, the amount of damage and pressure that Syndra is putting out is just incredible. Phoenix Flare gets immediately stunned up and then goes for a re-engage onto Demo, since the green Q actually does land onto him, so wants the extra damage to just be able to finish the Syndra immediately. But since it goes wide and committed the Q dash as well, it's just a little bit rough to actually find. And immediately they try and turn on to the top laner and the jungler there of XSV, and it just doesn't work out. Hannah taking up a big brunt of the damage there, and then a huge Scatter of the Weak finds 3 to just take down those last couple kills, and they walk away scot-free.
Pretty much scot-free, and a big thing now is Tough Daddy on this Talia, typically a champion you see most kind of the strongest form at like 1 to 2 items about still hasn't even, I think, finished that first one. And plays are just happening all across the map, and they're constantly just behind in tempo, unable to get in, and that's mostly pickups on Sailor and Demo, putting in the work to put them up behind. Yeah, that's crazy. 17 minutes, almost 18 minutes in the game, no first item. Do you think that tier is gonna finish or an item is completed?
I hope that we get the item before the tier, but it seems like we're gonna finish the tier and I don't know, just rush Archangels for the shield, maybe? That's all I can think of right now. Because at this point you are a shove bot. You're just trying to find that stun with that EW, and potentially set up for your Felios to do good damage. But Felios also not at the strongest state. You see 2 items completed on the Yunaro. Meanwhile, just an item and a half for this Felios. So it's looking pretty rough despite how strong Z is. That is a champion that is super victim. You know, that's a victim when it comes to being against Braum. That champion can't do much once the concussive blows actually does land. So you got to be a little bit careful here in these team fights, and it's just going to come down to whether they can actually find Demo immediately in these as these fights start and really just blow them up. But it's been playing very respectfully and it has the flash up, so they're gonna look for a pick here.
Oh no, Phoenix Flare barely able to survive through that, but it was just one extra auto attack to finish off with the Unleashed Power. Demo's gonna pick up the kill, and Tough Daddy once again in a bad situation, turning worse. That tower not looking super safe, but Z here on the coattails looking to find a fight onto Sailor, who doesn't have the Cyclone in the inventory, so they can't look for anything here as Sloth, but the tower more than enough of a prize alongside the cherry on top.
Yeah, Z now in the bot lane trying to match the Syndra, since it's very clear now that Talia just doesn't have the pressure, just going to clear up this wave. Z's going to catch it on the bot side, but this gives a lot of free time here for the Volibear to just claim up these plates and kind of get back in this game a bit. Is still down about 1,000 gold, but this is definitely going to help out for the survivability and especially the team fights that are coming up. With the next Dragon in just 1:40, I expect Volibear to clear out 2 more waves and then mosey on down there, because at this point you're also just playing for the team in the current posture. Z gonna go for a recall here as well, so just grabbing up that last item before everyone is there to set up for this Drake.
This Drake gonna be a pretty important step. 4th Drake is always like your people that are ahead are gonna be like 2.5 items. You can see that in the inventory here for Sloth, and it's one of the last fights where snowballs can get stopped properly without big throws, and Sailor waiting for Tough Daddy to make another mistake, and they're trying to find some sort of a poke here into Rapcore. Because now here comes the collapse. Maybe not in the best spot, but that Wukong disappeared. And another thing I kind of noticed, isn't Bandle Pipes just like the best thing you can go on any CC support?
For the most part, yeah, it's definitely very solid. There is a bit of situations where Mikhail's or what I thought here is Rapcore.
Looking, able to get over the wall and flash away. Z following public execution as well. Shove a little past, but it's okay. Tough Daddy on the board. Picks up that first kill. They're going to try and rush down this tier 2. There's not much you can really go. That Baron's so tanky, you can't take advantage of it. But hey, here's gold in your pocket for Dorado.
Yeah, but this does give up a lot of positioning on this Drake. They do get it very, very quickly, but there is the TP available for Rapcore. And Wukong's kind of already in the area, so I expect them to just kind of start it as soon as they clear out this mid wave. So that does actually give a lot of space here to deny that soul point from Dorado. It does look they want to contest it, though. They don't think that XSV Sloth will be able to actually, you know, make it for enough here. Not sure if it's going to work out. Wukong is on it, but they want to look for a fight in mid lane. If that Grammar can actually find a hook here, that could be a pretty big opener.
Wave needing backup.
Gone.
The Dragon's just gone for free for Sloth. Oh, I mean, you lost Rapcore, but when you're playing AP Volibear, it's one of the many jobs that you have, and Sailor trying to flash in the backline, not able to get the Cyclone off Hannah, ate up that hook, and happily to do. Dak Grammar has just been bursted down, and shutdown picked up, though, by Phoenix Flare. Not a whole lot else left in the tank, but they burn the TP from Rapcore to get to this fight, and it's called off by Dorado.
Yeah, and they aren't able to use the Rift Herald here, so it's just going to spawn in base there, so we'll just moseying on down towards the mid lane. And yeah, I mean, honestly, pretty good there from XSV to at least get the Dragon on that play, but I think they wanted a lot more, but good awareness from Z to know you have to kill the Wukong before Cyclone 2 comes through. Hannah now very low, barely skates away. Farrell not going to find much here. Might be able to just kill Z.
Ooh, public execution found Demo. No scatter of the week. They can't get this best off though, but the peel, not enough. It's a shutdown picked up by Tough Daddy and continuing under the tower. It's a shutdown for Z. Big gold picked up by Dorado.
Nice public execution there just to find Demo in kind of an awkward spot. Did have flash, but it didn't matter at that point. The Jax and the Mbessa there to clean up that kill. And you know, these are the kind of kills that you let slip a little bit too much, and the game could suddenly be way out of your hands. So I expect a little bit better of a time here from Demo and Hannah, just to make sure that they don't get picked off like that again. Now that, you know, you have the damage to try and contest the Baron if another 2 picks go over.
You've definitely got the damage now. Big pickup 2 here for Tough Daddy. Yeah, still 1800 behind Demo. All things considered, though, you're catching up with where you're supposed to be at this game state. So at least this Taliyah is going to be offering a little more than just the shove. The big thing, though, is Phoenix Flare. I would say the primary damage source at this moment for this Dorado side. And Z's going to not pick up that. That's a smite to take away the Grop. Z did all the work, but the leash is always appreciated. Other than that, though, eyes should really be turning, honestly, towards this Baron, seeing if we can't lay a trap. Otherwise, we're gonna be in for a long haul here, because I do not want to see a Wukong get four mountains.
Yeah. Commenting on what you said before about Battle Pipes, I do think Battle Pipes probably would be good here for Thresh, but that item has gone through a couple nerfs, and if you're just worried about your Aphelios getting one-shotted by Syndra, let's just hope Syndra doesn't do so much damage that it doesn't even matter through Locket. But they are just going to try and go for the Baron here. Everyone went on a recall here, so they actually do have a bit of a timer. And they do have Weaver's Wall to get here, but you know, it's still a very hard fight you're trying to walk into a Braum as well. 5k now.
Getting pretty low. You got to commit to this. Public Execution is going to miss. Demo has TP, but it's not casted yet. Sailor's going to pop that, and that's no more. And Bessa, no smite left. And Rancor looking for more to the back, and Kush not able to die. It's a double kill picked up by Sailor. Z has to pop off here. Arc found slowing, trying to kite out the Jax. Can't have the damage to kill Sailor. Can the Baron do it? Not Tough Daddy, though. Baron's going to reset. Tough Daddy keeps up the damage. Shove, dodged away by Demo. Taking a lot of damage from these rocks. It's possible here for Tough Daddy with a flash forward. Unleashed Power is going to pop the damage off Kush. Flashing for the ace. It's picked up by Sloth.
Yeah, Tough Daddy, nice attempt there to try and clean up the last couple kills. But Kush still having that flash in his back pockets, able to take it here as we get a bit of a replay here from the start of that play. So they're in a really disadvantageous position, and Phoenix just kind of need to commit. Nice dodge away from the Sailor there to just force them into a choke point that Syndra can, or not Syndra, the Braum can easily just fissure through, and then Che getting knocked up here, barely doesn't have enough damage to take out Kush, and that's actually a critical moment there. If Kush goes down, there is no way they are getting through this Jax now, but Z ends up taking a bit of a stun here from the concussive blows before Hannah actually went down, and a nice stun from Demo kind of closes it out. Tough Daddy here, able to kite out pretty well, Demo dodging away from Demo stuff, and just barely goes down at the very end here with kind of committing all resources here from Sailor and Kush just to make sure that that goes their way. But no Baron for the side of XSV, so you could take that as a bit of a win considering how disadvantageous that position was, but still not going to be optimal just to have some extra gold go to the way of Sloths.
Close there. Eyes are still set on these
20.
dragons. Yeah, 20 seconds on it. There's not a lot left summoner-wise here in the tank for either of these squads. So I look to see kind of how they get on top of the carries, specifically Che, kind of working their way back in this game with the IE in their inventory.
Oh, committed Cyclone. That is actually a huge cooldown to just commit here onto the top laner.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah. That's going to be probably, you just have to give the drag since you didn't find anything there. They thought they would have enough damage when it just comes to having the Wukong and the Volibear here, but we've seen time and time again this game, Volibear ain't doing much to this Jax.
There's the Weaver's Wall blocking away. It's Sailor stuck in the cage. Can they try and find it? Good Scatter's gonna pick up some damage. Z trying to find the counter strike, not able to do it. Shove misses. Rapcore looking for the engage. It's picked up. 50-50 goes in favor of Sloth. Can they win the rest of the fight? And the kiting is good. Sailor going on a killing spree. Kush untouched in the back line and more than away. They're happy with the leash.
Yeah, that's that's Mountain Soul Point now. You're very close to having probably one of the best, you know, best souls in the game. In my opinion, I think when you get the 4 Mountain Drakes and the soul as well, that is very powerful. They're going to turn their attention over to Baron. They got 20 seconds without Phoenix Flare here, so it should be a pretty easy contest, especially since there's no Weaver's Wall. It pretty much just depends on whether Che thinks he could outplay this entire fight, but no, we'll just be going down way too quickly, and they're just going to shove mid as a payment here. Maybe claim up this final outer turret, but that's a very small prize for what was a Lost Dragon and a Baron.
It is a very small prize. Like the participation ribbon at the end of like an event.
That's unfortunate. You know, you don't want the participation trophy even sometimes when you go to a tournament and don't do so hot. So it just feels like a little bit of a slap at the very end. It's like, oh yeah, here you tried.
Yeah.
Take our consolation.
You showed up. Good job. I mean, it's big on Dorado to at least pick up on that, because I know a lot of teams would miss that. So at least some gold is found. But it's just so hard to manage. Specifically, the Syndra finished up that death cap as well. It's really hard to get through. Everyone on the side of Sloth is peaking right now. Wukong's at the strongest that this champion's really going to be here. And I think a big kind of letdown is Z found so much gold early on, so much pressure early on, and has just been contained really well by Sloth and Rapcore specifically. And that was supposed to be something to play around.
Yeah. And it's going to come down to whether they can make a big explosive play with the Aphelios, Talia, and, you know, whether Z can actually come in kind of later on this fight and actually clean up house. Going to be able to dodge away. Rapcore now has the damage to kind of follow up onto Z.
That's a big concussive blows proc there onto Z. Doesn't have the mana either. Just chased down in the bouncy castle, getting played with outside of the Counter-Strike range. Opportunity here for Dorado to try and push mid lane. They're able to pick up that tier 2 tower, so a little bit extra of that consolation prize for the loss here top laner here, and some jungle camps. So, you know, about net even in gold.
Yeah, survived a very long time there, but you saw what I mean there. Concussive blows victim. Jax, that's definitely something that's just very difficult to actually survive through once it comes in. So, you know, I'm curious whether or not Dorado can really find something on the map. It's going to come down to this Talia, really, but it's hard to pick a target since Demo and Kush have kind of been playing together most of this game. And if they're not, it's just kind of a weird position to actually try and go for an engage on either of them. So I give a lot of credit over to kind of the supportive pieces of Sloth here, in Sailor and Hannah especially.
Yeah, they've been putting in a ton of work throughout all of these fights. And it's making specifically, like, I think we've had 2 fights in a row where Kush has just not really been touched at all in the backline. That's a big up there. Tough Daddy's going to have to flash away from the winner's bite. Got hit up by the Scatter of the Week, so just out of the fight entirely, and now you cannot play that aggressive. It's, to me, is my unpopular take, or kind of uncommon take with Talia, is you need the flash as much as a Lucian needs a flash. You need to be at the very front of a fight. You need to be able to find those key shoves, and no flash just makes that so hard.
Yeah, I definitely get that vibe as well. And you know, you want to kind of push as much damage as you can. It's kind of, I think, you know, Ryze and Talia are very similar in the way that, okay, you have a very strong defensive ability, and you have a lot of damage, but to get the maximum amount of damage, you really have to be up close and personal, and hitting a lot of your skill shots. That does create the zone. The zone is the damage. So, you know, in a lot of ways, yeah, the flash is very important since you will be so close to things like the Wukong. You know, if Wukong can just commit flash onto you and you're just instantly dead in a fight, that is a very hard thing to accomplish, as they find the stun on
Grammar found the hook. It's going to force the flash away from Demo, but no angle on the fight. Sailor stays just barely picked up by the Counter-Strike, and Tough Daddy bursted down. Concussible is not able to stack up, but that's not a Phoenix Flare anymore. In the ground, 6 feet under. Kush, godlike in the back line. 80 carries, 1v1ing. Kush going to get the upper hand of that Z. Not able to get Counter-Strike off in time, and can't pick up the kill onto Kush. It's a nothing burger for Dorado Gaming, and ace for Sloth.
Huge fight there from Kush, just finds a ton of damage there, but they tried to commit everything onto that Wukong, but with Cyclone ticking, all those strong melee carries for Dorado couldn't find enough damage to actually take anyone down. Braum does so much work in that particular fight as we get a replay to finish off this one. Nice flash away from Demo means that there's no immediate follow-up here. And I'm not sure if Phoenix Flare actually wanted the public execution here on to the Wukong that was spinning with the Cyclone active. Just immediately taken down. Kush finds the damage onto that red-white. Ophelio says he wants the fight. And that will be the game in game 1 here for XSV Sloth.
Just a rough way to kind of end up as Dorado here. You kind of got sectioned off, and it's not Dorado Gaming Delta that won. But salt in the wound, I guess, in a funny way. But
a different participation tries.
A different participation tries. All good. But just kind of a game where early game, yeah, you were 100% in that. Lanes looked really good. You were able to contest, but the second team fights set up, XSV Sloth, I said I was going to mess it up, and I did. Just had carries to play around, specifically getting bridged in. Kush got bridged in by Sailor and Demo. Rapcore stemmed the bleeding pretty much on their own. And you mentioned the supports from from Sailor and Hannah just looked so good.
Yeah, it just felt like they had the kind of utility around them to be able to survive any of the potential aggression that the Jax or the Ambessa could really provide. And, you know, Ophelio couldn't really establish a good zone to actually be able to play in the space that he was allotted. So it just felt like a pretty hard game to play out. Maybe they should have played a more defensive game instead of trying to always be the aggressor in this one, but it's hard to survive the onslaught of Syndra stuns over and over and over, so they do have to pull the trigger at some point, and unfortunate they don't have that many long-range engaged options besides the flip from the Talia as well as any potential hooks. They find the hook in the last fight, but Demo has the quick response to be able to survive it, and yeah, just a good game there from Sloth despite how rough that top lane matchup was in draft. Hey, it still works out for them.
Still works out for them super well. And I think that's going to be the big imbalance in this game, specifically between Demo and Tough Daddy. You are on this Talia. Yes, the damage numbers look good at the end of the game, but what was it, like 19 minutes for first item there? You cannot fall behind on a Talia, and you can't not be making plays. The second you get level 6, it's very similar to Twisted Fate. Get on the map now, get gold into someone else's inventory, and start causing chaos. You have to earn those kills. You have to earn that gold. And if you're not doing that, of course, you're going to kind of fall behind like this. You're going to struggle to really manage carries, lane bullies like the Syndra. So I need to see that adaptation here for Dorado. Either a pep talk, hey man, you got to get active, get on the map, get busy, or picking something that can kind of manage itself in the lane. You kind of called it out, but I do think Rise can do that and can look for those side lane plays. You kind of get the best of both worlds. I don't know if this person plays it, and if they do, I mean, I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but you know, that's it for game 1. I don't think there's much for us to say, so take it away.
like do 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 like do 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 crazy oh 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 crazy oh 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 crazy crazy oh oh crazy oh 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 crazy do 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 crazy do 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 crazy do 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 crazy do 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 crazy crazy do do like do 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 like do 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 crazy oh do like do 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 like do 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 crazy oh
It's not Divinity, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we're not Divinity. We're Vanquisher here. Game
True.
2 popping underway. Just in a second, you can see Sloth picking up that first game off of just a masterclass of mid game.
Yeah, that was a great game there from Sloth. And, I think Koosh, Demo, Hannah, Sailor all had a great game there. Rapcore, of course, just getting the short end of the stick on that Jax matchup. Hey, someone's going to have to take the fall. They wanted the bot lane to have the good counter pick in that side. So, hey, guess what? It worked out, so they don't have to worry about it too much. I'm curious to see whether Dorado decides to keep the sides how they were. Of course, we don't have like the LCS shenanigans of, oh, I could play red side with first pick. So we're going to have typical, do you want first pick? Do you want that? Or do you want last pick, blue or red side? That's kind of how it's going to go. I imagine Dorado might want that last pick just to avoid any counter pick shenanigans. Just because, hey, it looks like they really want to just win lane and kind of just transition that. That seemed to be their playstyle. They want to have a lead already going into it. But unfortunately, they couldn't really find it. And when 2 out of your 3 lanes are really struggling, it could be kind of difficult to find big openers on some of these team fights. So good job from Sloth to kind of say, hey, we shouldn't contest these first couple fights. If Jax shows up, we probably just lose. And they find their wins where they can have them in mid lane and kind of transition that towards that late game.
Excuse me. But kind of leaving that up there, draft getting underway here just in a quick second. You're going to see the bands kind of popping on out. I think a big thing that we have to kind of keep our minds on is the adaptations. Specifically, I kind of mentioned a little bit, but around mid lane, what can you really do to answer to a player like Demo, who I ended up looking it up. I've seen this player a lot of times before. They're phenomenal. They're a rock in the mid lane. They're super duper good at those control mages, at those artillery mages. And you have a player that's this flexible like Demo, who's this hard to really muscle out of lane. What can you really do to kind of deal with a player like that?
Yeah, and they're showing the respect. They're banning Akali out yet again, so they don't want to see that champion. Last time, Sloth actually banned the Orianna and the Nocturne away, so we're already seeing some kind of pivot here. They want to make sure that a strong bot lane carry is not what Che is going to be able to play. So we're seeing Varus get taken off the table. Seraphine also getting banned away here due to its flexibility. I've seen Koosh play it before, but I don't know if you're going to want to do that in this particular game. The Orianna does end up getting banned. They don't want to deal with a first pick Orianna, and then you have to deal with the whole shenanigans of, do we pick Nocturne? Do we just let them have it? That kind of whole game there. It's just going to be a Xin Zhao lock-in immediately, and they're, with Wukong kind of taken off the table, there aren't too many great answers into it. So I expect just a solid jungler to kind of rely on here, and solid it will be. It's most likely going to be that Udyr jungle. Of course, this could get flexed. Rapcore, definitely someone who could actually pull it out. But we don't really see this champion right now anyways. So I'm curious to see what the build will be. Obviously, you have the AP route with the Dusk and Dawn, but you can always go that full tank route instead. But they're going to give themselves a nice flexible AD carry to kind of pair with it with the Corki. Gives them the survivability to survive the Xin Zhao, which feels like one of the strongest junglers on the patch. Just does so much damage at this point, and they're going to get a nice response pick of the Ezreal. Will they just lock the Karma here as a supplement? Not sure. We'll see right now.
Yeah, I would hope so. I'd 100% hope so. You want to have something to manage a Corki plus X. Any sort of support really works with Corki as long as you're trying to go in. Nautilus and whatnot, but now you have to deal with this Karma, and Karma is typically seen as a Nautilus counter, so pivoting towards the Nami, a little bit more of a question mark. A lot of people do consider Nami to be kind of a timeless champion, always strong, always has utility, but you are the master of none. You're not quite a premier healer, you're not quite a premier damage, you're not quite a premier engage, but you've got a little bit of everything, and that does work with Corki super well. You can kind of pseudo play a very similar style to what Lucian Nami used to go in with the Valk. You do just have to then commit to the engage, and that kind of calls into question how can Shay and Dak Grammer really manage their damage and their range. And I do like Udyr. I love Udyr personally. The champion's super fun to see. Any and all forms. The cheesiness of the Tiger stance. I think they changed their name, but I forgot the change to it. But
Bear stance now. I know we just shifted.
Unfortunate, but the big thing is just how much damage that champion can deal and how much tank they have. It's confirmed into the jungle now with the Renekton lock-in for XSV.
Yeah, with no, there is still a lot of good picks in the Renekton. You could see something like a Rumble here, but since Victor's getting locked in, that does kind of reduce the potency of that pick. With Victor, that's a very exploitable mid laner here, so I expect Demo to pick something that pretty much blows it up. This was kind of telegraphed with the Hui, Xerath, and the Kali bans here. Gnar now getting locked in against that Renekton. This is still kind of a volatile top lane matchup, even as the Gnar. So got to be a little bit careful not to get solo killed early. This is probably one of the weakest states Gnar's been in a while, but has been kind of growing in popularity. And we're going to see Ahri, so something very powerful. So we have yet another pick opportunity here for Sloth with a nice, kind of engage option of that charm for Demo. One pick I was like really thinking about, I decided to look up the stats as well, because I was like, if they decided to go Corki Soraka here, I actually think that's insane into Ezreal, Karma, Xin Zhao. But they didn't actually end up going for it. They went for the Nami instead, of course, providing similar utility, just without the hyper carry nature of Soraka. But, I think Nami's still a great pick here that you can't really go wrong with, especially with that tidal wave to be able to get onto these kind of more mobile carry of the Victor. I think it's going to be a pretty scary game. Tough Daddy really going to have to show, what he's got in this one, just because, hey, this is going to be a game where you're going to be the main target, because you got Karma, you got Ezreal, you got Xin Zhao, and of course you have that Gnar, which generally everyone else is pretty safe. Well, you're that immobile carry in the mid lane, so I'm actually very surprised to see TP even for this Victor. I would have just liked to see the Ghost for the kind of combat power, but kind of committing to the team fight identity of the champion instead.
And you can challenge the Ahri in the sideways just because of how much damage Victor can have in the late game. Ahri's gonna muscle it out, 1 to 2 items. And Demo, we saw how good they were at farming, sustaining well over 10 CS a minute for I think the first 20 minutes of the entire first game. So look to see just how much farther ahead they can get in that farm, and if Tough Daddy can kind of put a stop to that here. And Z has a tall order to try and challenge this Renekton here. Cannot get caught out, cannot take any free poke. But bot lane wise, I really do need to see Che and Dat Grammar stall this lane for sure. It's the job of Ezreal Karma. It's what you need to do. You go 0, you go 0-0-0, you get 20 CS up, and you just challenge everything with that space, with that wave priority. And if they're not able to do that, they're gonna struggle to get in the late game. You mentioned that the not hyper carry nature of Nami, and that's the same case here with Karma. The scaling, fine, but just cannot go pound for pound with some of the others.
Yeah, so they are getting a little bit poked out, and unfortunately the ward going wide on the bush there is actually a pretty big detriment there. Che now has a bit of space to just go forward with Hannah still being level 1. That is a big chunk of damage there, so they found the early lead that they kind of been looking for in this lane. So can they maintain it, or will the Zudier ever come down to kind of stop the bleeding? But with Sailor pathing towards that top side, expected more in that particular lane there. Gonna grab up another cannon. Hannah taking a lot of poke. Nami can heal up, but at the detriment of the mana pool, so that's always something you gotta kind of watch out for. Tough Daddy has a nice time early on in this lane, but as soon as that level 6 ticks over, it's the classic Victor conundrum. Hey, I'm pretty strong when I hit level 6, but usually you're against a champion that can engage very hard onto you when they hit their level 6. And you got to be a bit careful here. Z taking a nice chunk here. Rapcore so far navigating the lane pretty well, catching all of this farm as well. So gonna end up in CS after this wave is done. So not too bad. Sailor on the top side. Z.
Sailor's in the area. Oh, the flash keeping it on top of Z. The auto canceled. Z able to flash just out of range. But the flash for flash here, when you're on the Gnar, losing that is just massive.
Yeah, just didn't have the resource bar to go mega at that time, so just good awareness from Rapcore, just a hard commit onto that. Unfortunate not to find the kill. Udyr now looking mid lane. Has to be careful, Tough Daddy.
The flash across. The charm doesn't have a range. So sad, so sad.
Yeah, nice use of the gravity well there. Just able to deny the space from the Ahri to just walk up and land that follow-up CC. So good flash there from Tough Daddy, but now you're the target. This is exactly what happened in the last game. An early gank towards mid lane, right when that first scuttle goes down. And it was just full pressure after that for the rest of the early game.
It was full pressure, but so far Dorado staying on their toes and looking a lot more alive here in this game, 100%. And part of that is Che and Dat Grammar on a much more proactive lane, and that definitely kind of gives the appearance of it. But also, Sailor has a tall order to do, especially without that flash anymore on the Udyr. You do want that as a tool, but Tough Daddy lost it in kind. Demo has their own flash, so the setups look to see them trying to abuse that here in the coming minutes.
Yeah. Now Rapcore just gonna be able to claim up this wave. Doing a good job of just dodging away from some of this damage. Tough Daddy has to go for a recall here, but has that TP just to come back in the lane. No problem. Kush now might get rooted up. Just gonna tank it. Wants to try and bait Che in, but Hannah's pretty low on mana, so that's actually very scary for the Nami Corki on the bot side. Once again, Sailor pathing towards top, so expect some action there in just a second.
Love seeing Karma's queuing the wave like that, just putting a little extra damage, using that the ability to get priority, but also good on Kuj and Hannah here to stay caught up in farm, stay in the lane in the same amount of time and in same spaces. This is a little bit of a risk though. You're trying to get this push out in the bot side of the map, trying to find some sort of advantage, but you just don't have the mana to really push fast enough. You just have to do it anyway. It's kind of like the rule. We don't make the rules here. We just follow them, and that way he's gonna get picked up here by Phoenix Flare. Everything else across the map still going even. Hold up, there's a gank top lane getting developed as that's an Udyr sitting in the bush, springing the trap, and Z's gonna go Mega. Has the Gnar to push them away, but the stun found. Sailor still on top of the Mega Gnar, but can't quite close the distance. Gets that awakened Phoenix stance on, but not enough damage here. Z forced to reset.
Yeah, barely surviving there. Nice stun there from Z just to guarantee survival, but that was a pretty good play nonetheless there from Sailor. Just a nice lane gank that R wasn't suspecting. But they will lose this first Drake yet again in this one for XSV Sloth. They really do prefer to kind of, you know, bolster the lanes a little bit when it comes to the early game and kind of give up some of these earlier Drakes, but it does put them in a bit of a hole that they do have to recover from. But getting this Renekton off the floor, definitely a higher priority here in this one.
Is going to be a big thing. A famous quote, famous quote by Whippo actually was talking about how when I'm on Renekton, I get my Black Cleaver, I'm the strongest champion ever. And Sloths definitely have to try and abuse that, have to get that up, but it's delayed a little bit. You can see those play. It still caps in the inventory of the Croc right now, wanting to stay alive. So timers like that, as Dorado, really are something you can try and abuse. Get up to kind of your first item. Some other champions, but Rapcore doesn't seem too deterred by that at all. Trying to run down Z. Now back to the mid lane. Demo burning that Spirit Rush, finding the stun. The charm layered perfectly. It's a first blood for Demo. Back to top lane. The fight didn't quite pan out as much as it needed. Rapcore popped that ultimate, but not enough to find any sort of extra damage.
Yeah, and I talked about how Tough Daddy now has a target on his back with that flash being down, and they exploit it perfectly. So just some great synergy here from Demo and Sailor, just showing off why they are where they are now. And also, I will say Kush and Hannah have been doing a good job surviving. I will say that Ezreal has come out to a bit of a CS lead, but, honestly, only being down about 7 CS to the Karma Ezreal it's not something that you really feel too bad about. As Sailor grabs up these camps on the bot side, pathing once again towards top. The Grubs will be something that they could fight for once they actually do make their way up there. And with Demo already being out to a pretty good position, having the Faded Ashes as well, just to be able to clear that wave a little bit more efficiently, should mean that you have a pretty good chance of going for these Grubs in just a bit. Especially with Mega kind of taking over as this thing will spawn in just about a minute.
Z notably Z and Rapcore picking up their flashes at the same time too, just from the earlier play. So that wasn't something that either team was really able to abuse, though they and that's not a mark on Sailor at all because they found something mid lane. So obviously they abused a flash on the map, but mostly just kind of getting past this bully phase here for Raptor, trying to find a little bit of ways to push this lane. It's just so hard to do. They did call Hannah topside, so keep your eyes on that. And the stun didn't quite find Raptor, trying to close the gap, but can't do it at all. These Grubs going in favor of the Sloths.
Yeah, and Kush, nice awareness, just knows something is up. The jungler of Phoenix Flare trying to find a pick onto him, but just does a nice job of zoning out away from this one as soon as Hannah gets spotted on the top side. So nothing is really gained here for Dorado. A pretty good play from XSV Sloths. Rapcore has to be a bit careful here.
Low. They do have Dominus here. Gonna pop in a second. Not finding the stun quite yet. Running out of Empowered Bar. Can't close the distance. Sailor here trying to guarantee the play. Flashing forward. Mega in time. Finds the stun. Z able to flash away. Smite to close the gap. Rapcore with the call to Meek to stay alive. It's a kill for Sloth.
Yeah, great awareness there from Rapcore. Has to get that final Q to get the damage out.
I thought Phoenix Slayer was gonna find that.
Away. Barely. They do want to force down this turret just a little bit though. Oh, he still has Tidal Wave.
There it is. Back in. Crescent Guard popped here. Phoenix Flare staying alive, but the tower just barely not enough to keep them down. Hannah stuck here in a 1v3, looking to find the damage. They don't have wave. It got burnt. Dak Kramer able to get out. Che gonna try and stand forward here. The minion putting in the work, but so is Che, and has more in the tank, but the tower gonna be more than enough to go 1-for-1 on the play.
I think Che thought the wave was already here. Unfortunately, giving over a little bit of a freebie in for the Nami. That's a little awkward. Kush here has to force the flash, get out of this one as soon as Phoenix Flare shows up. I will say Hannah, if just commits the tidal wave just a little bit earlier before the Xin actually goes, should have a much easier time. Like as soon as this W tags Phoenix Flare, you just immediately hit tidal wave. But unfortunately, now doesn't find it before the ult does come through. Does get a nice bubble, but a little bit unfortunate on some of the damage distribution here. And then Che not noticing, there's no wave you're walking through, just gets taken down. And yeah, that's a little unfortunate. We're going back to draft.
We'll go back to draft for a second. There we go. A big thing that I kind of am a proponent of in well, specifically seeing dives like that is playing in front of your tower. You want to try and use as much space as possible. You don't want to give it up for free. And wave there for Nami can 100% be that tool. Clear the wave, do a little damage here, because if that wave's gone and Xin Zhao is trying to dive just like that, you're going to be taking all of that extra damage just from the tower. One extra tower shot was all you needed really to win that fight here for Sloth. So kind of something that I see personally, but I definitely 100% see holding the wave, trying to time it with that dash in to try and stop the fight.
Yeah, for sure. Now Sailor trying to kind of pick up the pieces on the bot side, looking for Che. Doesn't actually find it, just using that empowered boar stance to actually find that. But, well, I guess he's using Spirit Guard, so we could technically use the old names, but, you know, we'll try and keep the integrity going. Second Drake going the way of Dorado here. I think they will try and get a contest.
Sailor here for a big 3-wave there as Crescent Guards pop there, but that doesn't save Grammar Nazi at all as Demo is looking to go popping off with the Spirit Rush. It's a double kill for Demo, a double kill picked up by Kush. Dragon as well with Rapcore here in tow, and the TP for Demo topside. My lord, the Sloths are coordinated.
Yeah, that was a great play there for XSV. That should put them in a good spot. Z has to be a little bit careful of getting solo killed. Once that charm comes back up, I'm sure Demo will look for it again. Just gonna have to go for the zoning, but a nice TP. It felt like they just weren't aware that Rapcore was actually coming into this play, and they just get taken down immediately. A plate going over to Rapcore as well, and the gold is cascading.
Oh, that's such a good charm, man. Demo on a rampage.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab up the crust on the top side as well, so just getting even more gold into the Ari's pocket, and it's in a similar state as last game as well. 2k gold up for Demo on Tough Daddy, and I mean, this is just looking tough for Daddy.
Okay, it's looking tough for the entirety of Dorado there. I don't know why that one got me out of all things here, but Dorado just struggling to keep their foot in the door, specifically in the solo lanes. More than anything else here, Tough Daddy just getting outfought by Demo. Now, good news, you're on the Victor this time, so I mentioned you have to pick what you want to do. Do you want to try and sit back and kind of let Demo make the plays and you just scale? That's what we're doing here. And it's so far going fine. I would accept a little bit more farm, and the bubble going to miss. Kush trying to find a way forward, and the root's going to land there, and that's a massive damage popping off from the Ezreal. Che, though, forcing the flash from Hannah. The fight's going to die here, but the Ezreal Karma popping off.
Yeah, just not going wide on the bubble. This is going to be a very hard skill shot to actually land. When that really is a really good tool if you're actually able to land it. Rapcore now getting chased out. Z.
It's the toxic rundown by the Gnar, but there's the fight. The Dominus pop. Rapcore has all that HP back. Z doesn't want to be here. Has the Gnar. Pops it at the last second, but Sailor already picked up the kill.
Yeah, Rapcore just baiting. Hey, I'm gonna need an ambulance, but it's not for himself, obviously. It's for Z, who's now in a body bag, as they do take the top lane turret here. Now the bot lane back in place. Hannah and Kush licking their wounds. Gonna be able to push out here. Jack Grammar's just helping Tough Daddy clear out this wave, maybe potentially look for some extra damage, but Demo very aware, has the flash as well to be able to look for something. Tough Daddy as well also got that, so we'll be able to survive out any of these ganks that may potentially come his way in just a second, as Sailor and Hannah both in that mid lane.
Oh, Tough Daddy trying to get away, but the stun into the charm, nowhere for you to go. Does have some HP to live for an extra second. On the meantime, though, it's a shutdown picked up by Phoenix Flare.
Yeah, Kush gets caught on the bot side, just unaware that, hey, even though there's no Ezreal in the area, there is still a Xin Zhao and a Karma there, so we'll just go down. Now they're trying to look for Phoenix Flare. This is a level 11 Udyr. That's very powerful.
Very, very powerful. The Leon just finished. The wave's going to find it, not doing damage with the knockup more enough. That's going to do damage, though. The bubble locks them down, but not enough burst here to pick up that Xin Zhao. You mentioned how strong this champion is at dueling, and that passive puts in work.
Able to survive out on that one, but throughout this entire time, I feel like XSV is just getting more on the map throughout all these plays. Some things have gone wide for them, and it's still just working out. They are up now 4,500 gold, so that is a significant advantage for them. Rapcore now just kind of forcing Che back under the turret. Wants to threaten even a potential dive. Level 12 to level 9. Welcome to 2026 season. Now Phoenix Flare wants to find it, but does get spotted out on a ward here. Rapcore just going to walk out here, 1v3 on the top side.
Just going to be able to walk out. The tower's picked up now as well for this top and mid lane, so... Oh, Che. Dominus is popped. Now they're just charging up the energy. Leave. Hold. There's the flash. Che. Arcade shifts into the wall. Not much you could do. The Croc has found the play, and Che. Last second flash just to burn it.
Yeah, it doesn't get over the wall. Just flashes a little bit in place there. Rapcore finds it, and that's your 80 carry down for yet another 30 seconds here. Another 30 seconds where he can't get the XP to try and catch up in this game. And I mean, this is just looking like it's snowballing out of control in favor of XSV. This may just be, I'm not going to jinx it, but I'm just saying it's looking very XSV favored in this one.
Looking a little bit favored at the moment, though they can possibly run out of steam here with their solo lanes, and Demo going to push a little bit forward, trying to find that charm. It's going to land on a Z there. They don't have the damage, though. The burst finally found. Demo going unstoppable. Now Phoenix Flare has to try and get away from Rapcore. The charm finally going to go wide. Crescent Guard pushes Rapcore away, so the dive avoided. The Wind Becomes Lightning just going to miss here. Maybe looking for this return in the fight, but Demo has more enough in the tank, as the Spirit Rush is going to fall, so that is no longer true.
Yeah, just gonna walk it out here. Hannah is in the area just to dissuade any other further engagement there, but this will be the prize of the dragon. So once again, getting the dragon stacking even earlier this time for Sloths. So I feel like it's getting kind of out of control for Dorado. So I don't know what I think their biggest window here to find anything is like a good Mega Gnar engage, but do they even have the follow-up damage at this point? Only a Roa completed for the Victor and the Triforce as well, only for the Ezreal. At this point, you're kind of wanting your Ezreal to be almost towards completing that Mana Moon, but it's just looking very, very far away at this point.
Phoenix Flare has a flank angle for a second, but Sailor putting in the work here towards this tower bot side, as Herald first crash is going to find more than enough to pick up this tower, so all outer towers gone for Dorado, and no play found by Phoenix Flare.
Yeah, they're going to look towards the bot side yet again. Will Z be able to hit the eye here? Just gets knocked away there. Gets the 2 plates and walks away here for the Udyr. Z kind of zoning out, making sure they put some pressure on. Now they're going to look for Kush. Nice bubble.
Good bubble from Hannah. Can they get away? Lots of damage from those shots, and that's a flash forward. Trying to find the knockup. More than enough for Phoenix Flare. Picks up that kill, but Koosh still alive. Collapse is coming here for the rest of the Sloths as they pop that zone. Demo gonna go for the Spirit Rush. Charm gonna go a little wide there as they continue dancing around the fight. Crash Guard trying to stay alive. Now Sailor turns their eyes towards Z, who popped that Omega, so can't find anything. Good Charm, that's who you're looking for. Z's gonna take a lot of damage. The Phosphorus Bomb, more than enough from Koosh, as Sailor pops that Empowered Form just to push them away. Another Charm. Demo, you can't keep landing these.
Yeah, just a little bit of a strange fight there. I'm surprised Hannah didn't commit the tidal wave just to do a little bit more chip damage for the Corki to really set up that TP from Demo. But, you know, Gravity Well's not going to do much against an Ahri with Spirit Rush, so just good awareness there to know, hey, this is not really a very dangerous position since they don't really have Snap CC, and just Jay gets chunked out. Demo and Koosh landing very crucial abilities there. Man, it sucks to be Ezreal right now.
It sucks to beat Ezreal right now. It's the results-based analysis for me continues to confirm that this champion sadly just doesn't have a place anymore. The crit's too strong. I know that might not be true if you're really good, but it's so hard. Yeah, you just got to be the best. But now you're kind of falling really behind on this Ezreal. And look at who you're going to be hammering home into. That's going to be Deadman's on save. That's going to be a Rapcore who's got 2,500 HP after Dominus has those plated steel caps. And on top of that, you're going to be dealing with the Nami. It's just so hard to manage.
Yeah, and we have the full cooldown build here for the Ahri as well. So expect charms coming in left and right. You know, this is something that I feel like they kind of allowed when they buffed the W cooldown. Just to be able to have it basically on repeat, so you just permanently have that extra speed plus the Cosmic Drive passive. So it is actually quite a bit of a threatening build, especially when you're very ahead and don't really have to worry about your damage too much. In this case, you have that AP Udyr to kind of supplement the Ahri as well, so it is just a little bit hard of a game to play out. Demo now looking for another pick, level 15.
Ooh, that's another charm. Puts in some work, but I think that's the drawback of the cooldown build there. Just not that much damage after the charm.
Yeah, it has to commit pretty much the Spirit Rush just to find a solo kill at that angle, but it's not even worth it at that point. Sailor now going to try and contest this Baron. Udyr's always one of the fastest Baron contesters, also one of the safest. So just going to kind of start it on his own, just for fun. You know, just scope it out.
They were given this angle here by Dorado, pushing a little too far forward on the Awaken on the Phoenix stance, just to push them away. I guess they're corralling right now, waiting for their engage. It's specifically the Ahri, who does have a lot of the engage here for Sloth. So a little bit of a disadvantage they have. If you don't flash Ram stance, you can't really find a good engage angle.
Yeah, it is a little bit interesting, but now they can play zone. They cleared out all the wards in this area of Baron, and now they just have to wait. Z might be confident enough with the Mega to actually go for it. Barely missing on that charm.
Barely missing. Z was kind of reading that a little bit, so was Che. They were popping something into that bush, but they didn't land anything. So just a couple extra seconds, that charm lands, and definitely would have been more than enough. That's a lot of damage from True Shot Barrage, though.
Yeah, but in the poke game, the Nami will always reign supreme long term. Rapcore now looking kind of for a side angle here. Dragon is up in 30, so it looks like they are going to turn their attention towards that side, but they find Che on going for a recall here. Pretty sure that might be a dead Ezreal.
So hard, but they found another prize. It's Z, locked up by the wave. Koosh goes on a killing spree. Che claimed as a consolation prize by Rapcore, also going on a killing spree. Cooldowns be damned, the charm is still up. Dak Grammar barely making it away with 1 HP. The Dragon just indefinitely picked up after this Baron.
Yeah, they're going to go for the Baron first. This is extremely free. Just Che asleep at the wheel, backs in a pretty unoptimal position, just gets caught out on the Dragon rotation from XSV, and they snap the trigger. Of course they do. And you're not escaping from a Nami boosted Udyr, that's for sure. So Demo able to follow up damage there as well, and they're now going to turn their attention towards this Drake with the Renekton and the Ahri. Going to commit over towards that angle.
Going to clear some space. Dak Grammar is, I imagine Dorado Gaming is very well aware of what's going on here. Baron going to finally fall. You have an opportunity as resets are coming in from the Sloth to maybe try and set up some space, but the gold lead so far away. Z's going to check the bush for the Crocodile, and it's very scary. You don't want to anger that Crocodile too much. But Z happy to try and take some poke damage, looking for a little bit more. About to go Mega, and Rapcore ready to take this fight past the Dominus. Stun gonna land here. It's the 1v1 of the top laners. They've been waiting for it. Gnar back into the wave, but Z still taking a lot of damage. Cannot burst Rapcore at all. Here comes the cavalry from the rest of the side. Sailor here as well for just some extra emotional support for Rapcore. Finally able to make it out. And the Phoenix stance makes sure that no one could get onto that crocodile.
Yeah, nice peeling there. Rapcore trying his best to try and bait for it, but there were a little bit more members than he was probably anticipating, and now they're going to turn their attention towards this drag. Of course, the Empowered Scuttle going to be something that will really help them in this take. Just guarantee no one else is in the area here. And the Phoenix Flare forced to just clear the Raptors as they move on to Soul Point. The advantage is that big here for the Sloths, and it's going to be a pretty big uphill battle. I'm just not sure if I could see an angle. I talked about Mega Gnar earlier, but I'm not even sure if that's going to be enough because the damage is just not there with a bunch of these tankier builds on a lot of these members for XSV.
Can you even get it off? Like, even if you plan out and you have Mega Gnar going into a fight, can you even get off the Gnar ult or anything afterwards with just how far behind this Gnar is? It's so hard to do anything right now if you're the side of Dorado because your soul laners just haven't really had a chance to shown up, and it's less a mark on them and more just the Sloths just playing so well. Their top side is playing, it's 100% not perfectly, but they're just playing so well for what I kind of felt like I was promised when I kind of overviewed these players. That Kalmik's going to get the heal, but not enough to stop the back. But the rest of the map just on fire for Dorado. You have to find some sort of a free pick given away from you, and Sailor happy to try and maybe create that situation, but Phoenix Flare is taking no damage towards Sailor because they're just trading back and forth.
Yeah, now Demo on the bot side here. They've identified that they want to try and crack this turret here. Turret is obviously getting fired at by this cannon minion. Will get taken down eventually with the help of that Grammar. Now Phoenix Flare looking for Koosh, finds the W and becomes lightning, but doesn't actually find anything else. They're trying to look for it, but it's just so hard to get through this charm wall.
And they had Mega Gnar on the top of that fight. They wanted to, they really wanted to get a fight. They knew Rapcore's top side. They knew this was their chance to find something, but Z couldn't make their way towards the bot side of the map in time. They're going to lose that tier 2. They're going to lose a lot of HP on this tier 3 in the bot side too. It's just so hard to deal with this siege, and I wouldn't even consider the Sloths a great siege team. In comp-wise, they can put out a lot of damage towards people in poking, but the actual damage on towers isn't exactly their specialty.
Yeah, they also don't have the most easily accessible wave clear once the wave is coming in, so when you're in a hard push like that, it's just very difficult to actually clear the wave effectively in time before it gets actually taken out on the other side. But I think we're seeing a kind of flaw in the Dorado comp here. It's just hard to find a nice snap engage to try and recover some of this gold and try and get back in this one. They really have to look for a flank angle, but they haven't really had the time to set up any of that with, you know, Dak Grammar just having to be so careful around this Ahri, who's been kind of cutting off a lot of the choke points in the jungle.
They've been doing that so well, but Demo has that push, finished up that death cap now again, so the damage back and injected into this Ahri combo now. So we mentioned, you know, the cooldowns are gonna be pretty good, but the damage not there. It's here now, and it's here to stay for the rest of the game. It's gonna be very scary to get hit by anything from Demo, as Sailor is so confident that they can take anything they want. They're in the enemy jungle, in front of Z, in front of Phoenix Flare. The smite, though, still going towards Phoenix Flare, as we're just kind of waiting around for some objective to force a fight here for the Sloths.
Yeah, I'm sure the Sloths would really love a fight right now, but they're just playing in the lanes, which so far has been a little bit easier for Dorado than going anywhere near the jungle. You don't really want to be fighting an Ahri in a jungle scenario. Sailor now just pushing out the bot lane. I mean, we're just going through the motions right now. 1 minute till Baron and Dragon, so really we're just chill gaming till one of those two comes up. Once you get Mountain Drake, you can really hard force under turret, and if it's Baron you want, then hey, now your minions are invincible practically against the composition of Dorado.
I feel like we are cursed. You and me are cursed to only cast blowouts.
Oh, I mean, that so far has been the case for these last 3 weeks. I mean,
3 weeks straight. I mean, week 1
there was one game.
Yeah, it was back and forth, but two of the games were blowouts. It's just blowout into blowout. Sailor's on the backside of this fight here is,
Good looking.
oh my god, they're just getting leashed around, and here comes that pick. As now Sailor into the backside, they're trying to find that turret, but couldn't get it on. Sailor able to flash away. Now Rapcore here and ready for this fight. Demo gonna go forward. Tough Daddy taking a lot of damage, not enough to kill Z. Gnawing back to the team, but they don't have damage. Koosh going on a rampage, pick up the kill. That was a Xin Zhao for a second, but it's 6 feet under again. Sailor happy to continue to the tower. Be damned, it doesn't do damage. True Shot Barrage puts in something, but there's nothing left in the tank here for Dorado Gaming. There's nothing left for the Sloth to take. It's just the base.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything that's symbolic of this series, it's Sailor walking 1v5 and walking out with more HP than the entire opponent team. Now able to just kind of walk forward, try and force out these cooldowns from Che. Gets just barely ticked by that Phoenix dance. Power Deck Hammer lucky to dodge away on that charm, and there just isn't enough wave clear for this one, and that'll be the game. Let's see if they get any consolation prize.
Or charm found, but Che was able to buffer it, so no consolation prize for the Sloths. I guess your consolation is a 2-0 victory here in week 3.
Yeah, Sloth's just looking good in this one. I can't even say much about it. I mean, the game spoke for itself. Kush and Hannah just surviving out on that bot side. Meanwhile, Demo Sailor doing their typical just kill Tough Daddy over and over and over, and guess what? It works out in this one as well. I'm not sure how you improve after this one for Dorado. I think there is a lot of points you can kind of look at. You know, I feel like top lane was generally pretty good, and you know, I wasn't unimpressed by Phoenix Flare. I just think maybe just a little bit less active on the map compared to man, why am I blanking? Sailor in that moment there. But you know, I think big question mark, you know, is Demo just a bad matchup into Tough Daddy? Or is this something that you kind of have to look at? Hey, sometimes the players matter a lot more than the champions, and Demo just has a good read, you know, and that kind of stuff can happen in these kinds of series. But either way, you're going to feel good if you're Sloths. That's your cross-group match done. You're going to 2-1 now, so you're kind of out of a lot of the sweaty zone of that kind of danger of like, oh, am I going to have a negative record going into this next week? But that's exactly where Dorado's going to be sitting, and that's going to be a little bit rough of a look here for them. Hoping to see them bounce back, but, you know, at the end of the day, they kind of got whooped.
Yeah, they got just absolutely whooped here for Dorado. You do have a lot to look at, especially around how Tough Daddy and Phoenix Flare play, because I'm going to be so real. Demo and Sailor just provided the textbook on how you play mid jungle there. In the Wukong game, Sailor on repeat on that level 6 was abusing those flash cooldowns here. So you have something to work with if you're Dorado. But for the Sloths, it's a done deal. Just business. Finished up here. As you mentioned, the cross group game, oh my God, game is done. So you're able to kind of walk high, walk tall into the next game and just really the hardest thing that's going to come from this is trying to improve off a game like this. What can you look at? Everything went well, everything went right, and it's always hard to improve when the notes are keep it up, guys, with the thumbs up and everything. So honestly, big ups to them.
Yeah, I think one thing definitely Dorado can look at is how do you support Tough Daddy a little bit more? Maybe it was the vision, you know, maybe it was what timers you actually have for your jungler to be there at the right times, that kind of stuff. So they got some stuff that they can definitely work on in this one. But, you know, for the Sloths, as far as improvement can go, I mean, it really did seem like Kush and Hannah kind of had to fend for themselves. That's kind of their play style for the most part. And there were some times when they did get caught out in pretty bad trades. So, hey, if I'm going to look at anywhere, it's just that laning phase, making sure you lock that down. Because hey, Demo and Sailor, they got the kind of synergy that they need to be able to kind of succeed. And now it's just, can all the side laners work out to make sure that you're always coming out to a nice early lead in this one? So either way, great series here from Vanquisher Week 3. I don't got much more to add, so back to you.
With that being the case, you don't have a whole lot. I don't have a whole lot left to say, but thank you everybody for spending your night with us. It's week 3 coming to a close of Vanquisher. We'll see you all next time. I've been Halfling, joined by Golden Gad in the production booth. We've got Sherjan, and our observer was I'm gonna mess this up. Kirimi Tosa, I believe, but they did a phenomenal job. So please join us next time. We'll see you then.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart